Welcome to the All Things 80s channel, and this will be a quick update regarding a video I did a few months back where I talked about the pipeline reveals for the latest Star Wars retro collection from Hasbro. And sadly, as suspected, these figures are indeed coming in a box set. So we have to imagine the price of circa $70 for these. And with a couple of these figures being potentially army builders for some people, having them stuck in a box is really bad business practice from Hasbro, because we're now being forced to buy multiple boxes if you want to army build a couple of these figures. Thankfully, it's not my problem, but I do sympathize with those of you who were hoping to army build some of these. Now, the figures themselves look okay, I guess. So the Dr. Evazan looks the part. This is exactly what Kenner would have done back in the day, so you got no complaints from me there. Whilst it looks reasonably detailed, they have kept it to kind of the whole aesthetics of the 1980s. So if you were looking for a vintage style Evazan, this would be the one for you. Now, next up is Walrus Man. This is a huge disappointment. There was speculation that this might be an updated version to more sort of accurately depict his on-screen appearance, but instead Hasbro have done an exact copy of the old Kenner figure from '78. And let's be honest, this is one of the least desirable figures in the original run. So why this is in the box is anyone's guess. A complete waste of a slot. And going back to the whole army building thing, if there are people out there buying multiples to build an army, you're going to be left with a handful of one of the worst figures Kenner ever made. Now, Han Solo in the Stormtrooper disguise, it is what it is. It's pretty much the same image as we saw with the original Luke Skywalker, although from looking at the image here, it looks as if his arms may be cast in a slightly more cocked position. I already have this courtesy of Stan Solo, so this figure really doesn't interest me too much. Luke Skywalker in his Yavin ceremony outfit looks okay. The head, from what I can see here, and again, these are just sort of fan shot images, it's not the best looking sculpt, but the body looks good. It is a figure I would like to add to my collection. Next up, Rebel Fleet Trooper. I think at this point, most people who actually want this figure have it courtesy of Stan Solo. And from what I can see from this image, I do believe the Stan Solo one is far superior to this. But this is one of the two army builders I mentioned earlier. So if you are wanting multiples of this figure, you will also be getting multiples of Walrus Man. And finally, we have the Sand Trooper, which, as far as I can tell, is your standard Stormtrooper, although again it does look like a cocked left arm, which is slightly different, but they've sort of stuck the pauldron onto the classic Stormtrooper body. Now, what interests me is, with this being a Sand Trooper, he's out in the sand, and therefore he should be looking absolutely filthy. Well, this one looks gleaming white to me, which is a huge mistake. And I do believe that Hasbro did the Remnant Stormtrooper as part of their Mandalorian Monopoly set, and that was somewhat discolored. I don't know why they've not done that for this, because that would have been exactly how a Sand Trooper should look. But again, this is Hasbro we're talking about. So there are the figures that are coming in this set, and as I said, I'm sure a lot of people will be disappointed by the fact that you are restricted to buying these by way of a box set. In my case, if I am fortunate to be able to get my hands on one of these sets, really I'm only getting it for the Evazan and the Yavin look. I have the other figures in various other formats from other creators, and $70 for the two figures I want is pretty outrageous, but it's not something I'm going to be losing any sleep over. I am pretty much out of the modern toy game, so not necessarily my problem, but I do sympathize with those of you who want to army build or do want to have the Yavin look or the Evazan and are stuck with, like I said, one of the worst figures Kenner ever made in the form of Walrus Man. So that's it for now. Those are the images. Please do let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you all next time.